All right, so I'm here today. I'm doing day one of my podcast, and let's just go ahead and get this out the way. First off, the name is One of Them Ones. This video will serve kind of as like a beginning step of my journal, so you can go with me. You can see how I grow. You can make comments. You can judge, whatever. I was looking at people and their YouTube videos. Trust me, I did all the studying. I read all the books on you should do this, these 10 steps. I read it all. And yet here it is still. I come to you jacked up. But I have to get this out. I have to start and, just grow from here. And that's how life is anyway. So one of them ones. So what is one of them ones is I am one of the chosen ones that, God came and saved. In the Bible it says that he left the 99 to go look for the one. And I'm one of them ones. He left, the church house. He left the building. He left where he was comfortable, where he would be comfortable at, to go all the way in the wilderness, to cut through drugs, to cut through homelessness, to cut through depression, to cut through anger, to cut through sexual lust, to cut through pornography, whatever, it is, those things that can derail you. Right. I've kind of grown past on judging. That's what God is for. I don't judge anybody on anything. We're not capable of. But so, Jesus cut through all of those things to get to me, and he got to me. And so he made me one, and he brought me back to the collective. And I feel like we're in a place in time in space where we need to do the same. Right. I should be an imitator of faith. I should show the example that was shown to me. And had he not came to me in my time of need, I would be still out there in the darkness. And whatever dark hole I was in, we all come from in a dark place. But so he came to my spot specifically, a light that pierced through the dark, and he got me. And I just, not to even judge and say that somebody's in darkness but I also know the feelings, and I know the despair that can happen. And so I just feel like we should leave the building. And this doesn't even just mean a church building. I've grown. My definition of church has grown over this time, to where, church is, it is in the heart. It is in the body. We are the church. I am a church. You're a church. And then I believe it's more of that tribal thinking where we all come from backgrounds where, where it's a sense of community. So sometimes you got to expand your community. You got to expand your reach and go and get someone who's lost and doesn't have anyone. And they need unconditional love shown to them. They need grace shown to them. They need mercy shown to them. They don't need judgment. They don't need to be further outcast. So this podcast is for anybody who feels like they're an outcast. I just want to try to reach you because I see you and I see where you're special at. I see where you're great at. And I just want to let you know that you're loved, and that I would definitely like for you to come to my community if you need a home, because it gets a little boring. I need other people who are oddballs or whatever the world wants to label you. I would love to have you and worship with you and fellowship with you, because yes, it does get boring. It does get lonely. And sometimes, we're in a transition where we're out with the old, in with the new type thing. And so it would be nice to have other creative minds show their gifts, and we do it all in a healthy and collective way, in Jesus' name. So I will go through a list of questions that I will be asking anyone who would like to come and share their story, who would like to come and talk. So this is basically an interview for you. This isn't an interview, for anything else. This is just me trying to convince you to come on here and do this exact same thing, so we can get others who are also, considered outcasts, who, for whatever reason have felt fallen away from society. I know with COVID happening, a lot of people either were drawn into the light or fell away. Maybe they were doing something and they put that project in the back burner. We're at that point now. Maybe you got an SBA loan and you started a business and things fizzled out, and now you want to just give up on what you were doing. We're at that point. We can't depend on another event like that to happen. But if we do read our Bibles, and those who don't, whatever philosophies or whatever you may believe, just nothing lasts forever. So yes, there will be a time where things end, but still, you don't want to ever leave this earth without expressing whatever it is in your heart to express. And so just look at it at that point. So I would like for you to be able to just come and utilize your gift, express your gift. So that's what this podcast is about. Those who are outcasts, those who have dreams that have fizzled away, those who have put things down that they felt like they were called to do, but now they no longer do it. So just would like for you to come and let this be an example of what it looks like. So you can make fun of me all day long, and then hopefully I can't wait to see you get started. And I'll probably make fun of you, but it'll all be in love too. So let's get started. The first question that I'll ask on one of them ones is going to be describing your spiritual awakening. So with the spiritual awakening that I had, it was horrible. I was, had $100,000 a year career, but I was all about myself. I was, distant from my family. I wasn't connected to anyone. I was becoming sick too. The job was so stressful. I was starting to have stomach ulcers. I was just very, very, how can I say it? I was very disconnected. Very disconnected. I was in Dallas. I was away from everyone, but not in a good way. I was a leader of a family of 5. I never had, my father around, and not to go down that rabbit hole, but just everything I needed to learn. And I wasn't handling business the correct way. One day God came to me, told me to stay at home. Next thing you know, I was having just tons of different experiences. I got really sick again, and I was just down and out. I started using drugs as well, heavily. But the drugs were actually using me. So I wasn't in control of anything. I wasn't in control of myself. I was, angry. I was violent. I was having seizures. I was down on the floor. And, I believe I had something called like a research, some of my symptoms that I was going through. And the craziest thing was, it said I had something called a Kundalini experience. So I started researching it. I started doing yoga out of nowhere, and it helped me. It was helping me. But also I was still having this horrible pain, this feeling like I was going to die. And everything inside me was hurting. I was burning up. My wife didn't know what to do at the time. My kids didn't know what to do. And I just remember being in the floor of my office at dinner time. And it was all the way dark in my room. And I remember looking as the door was closed. The only light that was coming in was from the other side of the door. And my kids were having dinner. Everybody was eating. And I'm on the floor, not able to move. Nobody's going to offer me any food because I'm typically at that point, I wasn't eating. So they got tired of offering. I wasn't pleasant. So they got tired of asking, how you doing? I was just miserable and in pain, and they were there. I was on the floor, and I remember hearing dinner as I can't move. And I said, wow, this is what it's going to be like when I'm not here. There wasn't anything else going on. That was a very surreal moment. And at that point, I believe I died, but it was my ego. My ego had finally left me. And when my ego left, I was able to really see clearly. I started watching how I was able to feel everything. Like I wasn't just dismissive. I still would, have my bad days, but for the most part, I knew internally that something had changed. That's all that mattered. I was able to cry more. I was starting to cry a lot more. I was starting to be understanding a lot more. I was starting to feel different people's energy, and I was being connected to other people's pain and misery on a new level. So my spiritual awakening was one where I remember selling all of my Jordans. I had to sell, a room full of Jordans just to be able to pay rent at the time, because I wasn't working. I was on long-term disability, but I had to wait 6 months until my disability kicked in. So I remember selling all my J's, and I couldn't ever imagine doing that, but I did it. Then I remember just giving away clothes for free. I never would have did that. I was, very superficial, very materialistic. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, you buy clothes if you like it. If you like shoes, buy it. Like, I'm not judging. I don't like to use words like that of judgment. But I was just one person that my things that I liked were mine, and I loved them, and nobody could tell me otherwise. And so I just remember giving those things away for free. I remember I cried because I gave somebody a tip of $20 for the first time. I tipped somebody well in the library, and it wasn't for my benefit or anything, but I was shaking and crying, trying to give her a tip of $20 because it was new to me. That's how far off I was, So that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And I like to commend all those who helped me through that process, because I didn't have any leadership. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any pastor or anything. I just had myself. And I thank God, because I was learning different religions. Again, I said I had something like the Kundalini experience. And, when you're in your spiritual awakening, you can be susceptible to anything, right? There are spirits everywhere. So I had learned that I was a carrier, meaning I would pick up different spirits, I would carry them, and I needed a place to put them. And that's where, Christ came for me. That was my firm foundation. I was learning things rapidly. I was learning different religions at a fast pace. I was learning different arts and crafts at a fast pace, different like I got into stocks and I was doing really well in stocks, was able to make some money and provide that way. But I knew there was more. And once I got into the Bible and I got into Christ, he really grounded me. And his words really resonated with me, and they brought me comfort. So that's why, I believe in Jesus, just because during that time of spiritual awakening, that was what got me. I was deep into meditation, but there would be times where I'd meditate for hours. I would meditate for hours and hours and hours. And then I became addicted to meditation, I found out, so I had to stop it. I became addicted to guided meditations. I became addicted to the spiritual side of things. As an addict, I was becoming addicted to those things. And so I had to, when I ran into Christ and I saw that he had all the power in the world, that's what the word says, and yet he found himself to be lower than, and he found himself to give up that power. So he had the ability, he's the maker of the world, but he somehow was able to humble himself and put that power down. I needed to hear that. And so that's why I'm with Christ. So again, I know a lot of people who have spiritual awakenings, you have different mediums and different sources and different things that you use in order to, express your gifts. And that's not what this show's about. This show, again, is just about more so of me just trying to reach out to people who I would like to see in church, but if you have a difference of opinion, I would like for us to show the world that we can have a difference of opinion without bashing each other or yelling or fighting or screaming. But I also want to just give venue to be for just honest talk. But so honestly speaking, that's where Christ came in for me, is he just grounded me, and he gave his, everything that I read was what I needed. And I just knew that was my savior. So I give him all the credit, all the glory, and all the honor. So with that, I didn't have a church or anything. So a lot of chaos happens. Because, there's the spiritual world is a major battle. So just a lot of chaos happened. But that chaos God used to get me to a church. So I remember there was times I was praying for somebody to help me navigate through the spirit world, right? Because it was God can be your teacher, but it was overwhelming because there are other spirits too. And when you're fresh and when you're new and you've just awakened, everybody wants a taste of you. The devil, all of that. You can look in the Bible, right? They were killing 2-year-olds because they were trying to find Jesus. They were killing babies because they were trying to find Moses. So when you're awakening into a spirit, it's an open market. It's an open market. What side do you pick? Who do you choose? What do you do? So again, it's chaos, and it's chaos not only for you but everybody around you, because people want to help, but people don't understand. They don't know what to do. And if they do tell you to do something, your spirit is like, that ain't what I need. So in the beginning, I just remember, I thank God that I was always just praying for a teacher. And that's humbling too, because a lot of times as a man, you don't want to help from nobody else. But I had learned from not having my father around that, at this stage, now being awakened, there were just times where I needed a father. And so now I hear about Jesus. I hear about him talking to the Father. So I prayed to him. And yes, I would pray like, Lord, you're the spirit overall, but I need somebody in the physical though, to like show me, to teach me, to hug, to walk me through the way. And God was gracious enough to provide that, but it came through turmoil. But the first day I went to church was actually, I needed help. I needed financial help. My kids were just being taken by CPS. I needed a place to stay. And I asked my grandfather, like, I need a church. I need some help. And he said, I got some help for you. And then he introduced me to this man. And I'm thinking that they're about to give me some money and they're about to like help me out financially. And he picks me up. They have prayer night on Friday and we go out to the country, and like it's 10 at night, 11 at night. People are praying, passing out, speaking in tongues. And I'm hearing goats in the backyard. So I'm terrified because I'm like, what in the world is this? And I'm in some little room and I wanted to leave, but I didn't drive. I'm way out here in the country. And I'm like, what is this? And from that day on, though, God had gave me the perfect person to be able to guide me spiritually, to be, a spiritual father, to show me when I'm tripping and to show me when I'm right, and to let me be me as well, too. And so that was important. That was very important. And that's one of the reasons why I want to reach out to people, because sometimes you can have a gift and you're using it and been using it. But, what if you got a hammer, but you're really trying to use it and been maybe successful in a way, but you've been trying to use it like a screwdriver this whole time. This whole time you have a hammer, but nobody's taught you that that's not a hammer. Or this whole time you thought you had a hammer, and somebody had to come along and say, hey, that's not a hammer, that's a screwdriver. Or what if you had let's say a drink, and the whole time you're thinking that you have water, but no, that's not water, that's vodka that you're holding. Put that down, right? And because you don't know what you don't know. And so that's why it's important to always just have some type of guidance. One brother, iron sharpening iron, because the way you make iron sharper is you have a dull object of it as well. And so you're banging them together, knocking those dull parts off. You're banging together with a brother or sister with ideas. Maybe you want to go left, but there's a big fire down there, a bear down there, and only your friends can see it. Only your leader can see it. Only your pastor can see it. You can't see it because you're blinded. That's why you have to have somebody, it's always good to have somebody to talk to. Don't ever let this world think you have to be by yourself. You're supposed to be by yourself, or to glorify being by yourself. Yes, solitude is necessary, but we're not meant to be alone. And you don't believe me? Go somewhere in the mountains and lock yourself in a closet. Let me know how you feel. You'll feel the weight of loneliness creep in real quick. So I was thankful. That's how I met my pastor. And another question I like to ask, though, if anybody that's on here, is, when's the last time you've been to church? So I want to be open and honest as well with this process, right? So the last time I've been, it's been about going on 6 months. And yes, I had a falling out in church, but it's just like in life. You become a teenager and you think you're ready to drive. So that's what this part will be about. You think you're ready to drive, and dad has a Ferrari, and dad has all these different cars, and it's your first time driving. And what is he going to do? Hey, here's the keys, son. And you get that little, that hoopty, and you're like, what is this? I want the Ferrari. Like, you know what I mean? I got a date here. I got an engagement here. I got a book that I got here. I have a series here. I got a sermon here. But I can't get there in the hoopty. Give me the Ferrari. And so you get told no. But you're filled with this creativity. You're filled with the spirit. You're filled with these ideas. And it becomes deceptive. So therefore, how do you handle being told no? And I didn't handle it the right way, but I feel comforted knowing that I'm not the only one, but we'll keep it on me. I know I didn't handle it the right way. So I threw it like any child did in the spirit. I threw a temper tantrum. I don't want to be here no more then. And they holding me back, and man, nobody did nothing to me but me. And, I left, and I was determined, and I am still determined, but, I'm determined to make it. I want to prove myself. Because even in your spiritual process, there are going to be many times where you fall, and you're going to have to be what's called the prodigal son, and you're going to have to go back and own up to your mistake. And so I'm like, I don't even want to be considered a prodigal son no more. I'm tired of being a prodigal son. But truth is, that's always going to be while I'm on earth. There's always going to be a mess up. There's always going to be a humbling. There's always going to be something that I have to say, hey, I was wrong. And so I'll do that publicly right now. But the moral of the story is that, I left because of that reason. I have gifts, I have talents, I have dreams, I have things that I want to do. And God is going to allow me to do it. God's going to allow you to do it. But this is a step. Can you handle being told no? Can you handle waiting? Can you handle guidance? Can you handle constructive criticism? Like, these things don't even necessarily have to be a church-related thing or a spiritual-related thing. These things are just a good human being thing. Can somebody tell you something without you getting mad? Can someone tell you a hard thing without you getting mad? Can someone say, I need you to give me a second, we can't talk right now, and you still be their friend? Especially in this day and age where all the information comes right now. Can you handle just being patient? And my answer is absolutely. It's very tough. No, I can't. But I'm learning, and this process is helping me learn. And this process will help you learn. So that's why I'm asking these series of questions. Let's take out the church part. When's the last time you've been around your family? When's the last time you've been around your coworkers who y'all were friends with? When's the last time you've been around your community? When's the last time you've been around your son, for those who are parents? When's the last time you've been around your daughter, for those who are parents? When's the last time you've been around your grandparents? These things apply to all aspects of life. We're not on here on earth to just do our own thing and there are relationships for a reason. There's a family structure for a reason. There are friendships for a reason, communities for a reason. And a lot of what's going on right now is because everyone is an enterprise. Everyone is a brand right now. All of us. It'd be hypocritical, right? Here I am on a podcast, but it's essentially going to be a brand, right? But all of us want a brand. All of us want to be a star. All of us want, our own set of followers, our own content. And that's cool. That's God made us that way because he said that, let us create man in our image. So, yes, but what we've done is we've taken the image and made it the main thing. So that way we don't do relationship. We don't do family anymore. So grandma can't, grandparents, grandmas and grandpas, they see things because they've been through this life so many times, so many iterations, so many cycles, so they can just smell it. But when we don't want to connect with them, we lose that in our tribe. We lose that heritage. And then why not it's common sense. If something ain't broke, if you don't go and try to fix it. So to me, if someone's 80 years old, 90 years old, how did they make it this long on this earth? They must have something that we might need to, should learn about. And then vice versa. If you're still on this earth, then you're still on this earth and you abide by his laws and rules. Therefore, you always have to be in a state of learning. So if you don't want to learn anyway, if you just want to just stay with the time, I'm not going to use no computer because back in my day, we worked with our hands. Okay, you stay with that mindset. This may not be the place for you anymore if you're not careful. Then everything becomes scary, and then you're going to be ill-equipped, and you'll lose a sense of reality because you're not in that state of constantly learning. So then you won't be with the times, and then you'll be a hindrance. You'll be in the way. So whether you're old or you're young, like we all have, if you're here and you're breathing, we all have an obligation to learn from each other, accept one another, and be there for one another. But right now, it's kind of like chaos because we're all just doing different things. We all have different ideas. Nobody's willing to listen to the other. Well, back in my day, we didn't have these issues. So y'all are wrong. And those are the type of people that are in leadership. So laws don't evolve. They don't change. Then you have, the young ones who we're going to get it by force. Those who are in the younger generation. If you don't move, we're going to get moved out the way. So things become more violent. People are doing more because we want to be heard. The younger generation, nobody wants to listen to them. We got things like YN and all, like those are violent labels off top. Instead of seeing things like young man, we're going to say YN. We have things like nanas. We don't have grandmas no more. We got nanas. Nanas in the club, just like with the children. So nobody wants to stay at home and watch and pass on wisdom. We have things where, the dads, all of our dads are either locked up in jail or not around or got on their fourth family. And that's not a knock. I'm just talking about the importance of just the roles that we want to just so quickly throw away and rechange and remix. So I know that may be a little rant, but that's what I mean by when's the last time you've been to church? When's the last time you've been to a place where somebody can check you? When's the last time you've been to a place where somebody can check your ego? Or is it just growing and stronger in self? Because you know where that's going to lead. We got things like narcissists. This person's a narcissist. That person's a narcissist. You're gaslighting me. We can't even tell anybody anything anymore. We can't even, check anybody anymore. We don't fight anymore. We shoot. We don't, everything is to the extreme. And it's because nobody is willing to even go to go to that level on the opposite end of the spectrum in love. Somebody can sit there and be choked out by the police and everyone has their phone out recording. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So you got 30 people recording a man getting choked out by the police. But because they're the police, oh no, put the phone down, all 30 of you, rush them, pick them up, do a citizen's arrest or something. I'm not promoting violence. I'm just promoting common sense. But see, like we can't talk about those things. We can't discuss them without it being turned into a black-white matter. And then it turns into a guns matter. And then there's all these different brackets. We got to cut them things down. Because things are getting unchecked, because nobody has nobody that they report to. So when I say, like, when's the last time you've been to church? When's the last time you've been checked? When's the last time somebody has sat you down and challenged you for the better? So then another segment that we'll have, those on here, are know those who labor among you. Because again, we're all around each other, but we don't know each other. We're building and building and building. Condos are getting bigger. Apartments, we're just constantly building, but we don't know each other. We're not taking the time to know each other. Community speaking, we should know all the problem kids in the community. At least when I was growing up, everybody knew that such and such was bad. So then you would get a speech. Don't go out there with that boy. Don't go over there with him. You know he crazy. Then so and so do something bad, and it get displayed, and you're like, oh man, mom was right, dad was right. Don't go over there. So we don't have that no more. Again, everybody's out for themselves. So the kids is just they do what they want to do by themselves, and I don't blame them, because how can the parents be able to buy all the Xboxes and PlayStations and keep up with the house and keep up with the cars, and when both parents are working now and everything's inflated and everything's up, like, who can pay attention to the kids? So they watch whatever they want to watch on YouTube and all, the phones. We don't got time to lock it up. We don't want to put parental locks on there because we're scared that the kids may beat us up because we're soft, because we don't want to do anything anymore. We have organizations like CPS that will come and take your kids and give your kids to another person who is now basically a factory of abuse. Some of these foster care issues. So it's cool. I'm going to take you out this home of abuse, and I'm going to put you in the legalized factory where we're paying people to abuse you. And they go unchecked. Nobody says anything about them. Nobody does anything with them. And they have a hard job, because some of them actually have their heart in the right place. And some of them have to go to a home where they maybe have passed somebody and said that the home is good, just to find out that once they leave, the people in there did wrong to the kids. But we're quick to dismiss things like, again, church, or dismiss things where people can get together and check one another. Because I'm my own person. I'm my own boss. I do what I want is what's taking over. So know those who labor among you. And also on that note, like, let's say you're a African American, and let's say somebody of another nationality may not agree with Black Lives Matter. That doesn't mean they're racist. That doesn't mean that you can just go off on them, and vice versa. Or just because a person has a Trump hat on or whatever, like, that's, again, that's the reason why we need to be able to talk to one another. We need to be able to have more spirit involved. We need to be able to have more grace involved, more love involved, more peace involved, more patience involved. Be quick to slow to talk, but quick to listen. We need more doers of whatever it is that your philosophy is, the good part of it. More doers of it. So know those who labor among you. Know what they're about, know what they stand for, and the only way you're going to know is if you go and talk to them and meet with them. That's the only way you'll know. But if you don't do that, then you'll just assume, and everybody knows what happens when you assume. And if you don't know, then you're wrong when you assume. And then the last section I have is just called, the Good Samaritan, because it talks about how in the Good Samaritan, where a man was beaten halfway to death, thrown on a mountain, and the mountain basically was the ghetto. So it was one of the worst areas around. So not only was he beaten, he was thrown down in the hood on the road. And a priest walks by, and he does nothing. And that's what we do a lot of times too. So this isn't just about trying to win again people over to church. This is just trying to make my community better. So church leaders, like, if you're scared to go outside, and you're scared to go into the communities, and and when you do go, all you give is the same, you give out bologna sandwiches and stuff, then it's time to move around, because get to know people. Maybe they don't like a bologna sandwich. Guess what? Homeless people have rights. They're people. If they don't want to eat bologna, they may be allergic, but here we go. You should be grateful that you got this sandwich, son. Like, no, I don't like bologna. Why don't you talk with me and see what I like? That's what it's going to take. So the priest came by, he did nothing. Then another minister came by. So this is for my people who are whatever your beliefs are, right? Do your beliefs include helping those around who are less fortunate? Because if it don't, then that's where, again, another problem is. Because you're not going to win anybody over with that attitude. You should always stop and be there to help. Somebody helped me, somebody helped you. Everyone's going to need help at some point, no matter how rich, how wealthy, how much importance you have. We all will need help at one point. And then a man came by. He wasn't of any title. He took the man, he put him in his room, or he healed him. He put him in a hotel, and he paid for it all. And he didn't ask for any money back. And he didn't ask for government assistance because I just did X, Y, and Z. He didn't ask for a grant because I just did X, Y, and Z. He didn't ask for a plaque to the city because I just did X, Y, and Z. He just did it. He just did it. He didn't wait until, he didn't just record the man on the ground, beaten and all that. He actually picked him up, healed him, took him in to be rescued. There was action involved. And so if anything else, if whatever podcast, how this goes it's just a call to action, and I'm just answering it, and I'm just going to continue to answer it because that's just what God did. He picked me up when I was down and out, when I was beaten, when I was on the side of the road where I was left for dead, family left, everyone wrote me off. And yet somebody picked me up. They paid for me. They paid for a place to stay. They fed me, different people, but same spirit. They taught me, and I would be a hypocrite if I didn't have that same spirit and I didn't release it to others. So I always try to help out, and there's just more that I want to do. And I pray that, this can be an avenue to do so. But most importantly, I don't want anyone to be an outcast. I don't want anyone to be alone because I hate that feeling. And I don't want to be a person that just sits and worry. Man, I'm just so worried about this, worried about that. Like, I know I cannot change the world, but I also know that I can't change the world if I don't start and do something. And so this is just me taking a step and doing it. And I'll make mistakes along the way because I'm me. But also will do some great things because I'm me. And I will also just always know that I'm just always looking to grow and learn and just rise above my circumstances. I don't like the way my community is going. I don't like the way the world is going. It's not, I don't care what the economy is. I can see with my own eyes. I just don't like how things are going. I don't need a news station to tell me, and I want to do something about it. And so I want to go and talk to people so if this is you, if you feel like you're have a gift that you can share with the world, and you've been scared, and, man, I know I can sing, but I just don't, I want to come and I want to just give you that opportunity and give you that encouragement, because that's my gift. It's just encouraging. It's just providing opportunity. I don't want to, ideally I want to direct if it was up to me, but again, this is God's way. But I have to get things started somehow. So I'll start wherever. And I just want to encourage you to start wherever. So that being said, that was my introduction. Will be my first episode. I'll look to grow. I'm up for the challenge. I can't wait to try to get better, to do better, to know better. So with that being said, I'll end it there.